Most people think a tick problem is a chemical problem. It isn't. It's a humidity problem wearing a chemical costume. Here's the counterintuitive part. The yard that looks the most cared for, the one with the tidy ground cover and the neat little shrubs from the garden center, is very often the yard ticks are happiest in. Not the overgrown one. The tidy one. Stick with me for the next few minutes because by the end you'll know exactly which 7 plants change the moisture and scent profile of your yard enough to make ticks want to leave. And there's a specific one, buried in the middle of this list, that most gardening channels never mention because they don't understand why it actually works. Here's what's really at stake. The average American household spends over $400 a year on pest control services and products, much of it aimed at ticks and fleas. A well-placed border of the right plants costs less than $30 and keeps working for years. This isn't just a yard issue. It's a grocery bill issue, a vet bill issue, and for a lot of families, a genuine health issue. Lyme disease cases in the US have more than doubled since the early 2000s. So before we get to the list, I want to slow down on the actual mechanism because almost nobody explains this part correctly. Ticks don't hunt, they quest. They climb onto a blade of grass or the tip of a low leaf, stretch their front legs out, and wait for a warm body to brush past. That's it. That's the whole strategy. It's called questing, and it only works under one condition. The tick has to stay hydrated while it waits, sometimes for days. Ticks lose water through their exoskeleton constantly. A black-legged tick sitting in direct sun and dry air will dehydrate and die within hours. The same tick sitting in a shaded, moist microclimate, under dense ground cover, under leaf litter, under a low shrub with poor airflow, can survive for weeks, waiting for its next meal. That's the mechanism almost every tick video skips. Scent matters, but scent is the second layer. The first layer is moisture. If you only spray oils around and never touch the humidity of your yard, you're treating the symptom and ignoring the actual habitat. Here's the part the ornamental nursery industry has never had much incentive to explain to you. A huge share of the most popular low-maintenance landscaping plants sold at garden centers are, structurally, humidity traps. Dense, low, shade-loving, moisture-holding. Great for a magazine photo, great for ticks. Type yard below if you've ever planted something because it looked tidy and low effort, and I'll show you later in this video which popular choices are quietly working against you. Now here's where the 7 plants come in. Each one does 2 jobs at once. It dries out its immediate zone through sun-loving, well-drained growing habits, and it releases volatile compounds that interfere with a tick's ability to track carbon dioxide and body heat. 1. Rosemary. The scent comes from camphor, cineole, and pinene, sharp, resinous compounds that disrupt the chemical signals ticks use to locate a host. Rosemary needs full sun and fast-draining soil, which means everywhere you plant it, you're also removing the damp microclimate ticks depend on. 2 jobs, 1 plant. Put it along a patio edge, a front walkway, or wherever the dog cuts through the yard. 2. Lavender. Linalool and linaloyl acetate give lavender its calming scent to us and its repellent quality to ticks. In colder climates, Munstead and Hidcote hold up down to roughly zone 5. In hot, humid regions, phenomenal lavender tolerates the summer stress better. The most common mistake is treating lavender like a needy plant. Rich soil, daily watering, mulch piled against the stems. Lavender wants lean, gravelly, fast-draining conditions. Baby it, and you accidentally recreate the exact humid pocket you're trying to eliminate. 3. Mint. Menthol and menthone create one of the sharpest scent barriers on this list. Peppermint has the strongest effect, but mint is aggressive. Grow it in containers on a hard surface, never directly in soil, or it will spread until it's the only thing left in your garden. 4. Marigold. French marigolds, the Tagetes varieties, work less as a chemical wall and more as an edge, a border planted along the fence line, the walkway, the transition zone between lawn and shrub bed, which happens to be exactly where ticks concentrate. Keep leaf litter cleared underneath, or the border defeats its own purpose. Now, quick pause. I want you to actually notice something here, because it changes how you read the rest of this list. Every plant so far shares the same 2 traits: full sun, fast-draining soil. That's not a coincidence. That's the mechanism. 5. Wormwood. Bitter, medicinal, loaded with thujone and camphor family terpenoids. This is the plant most people skip because the smell isn't pleasant to humans either, which is honestly the whole point. Artemisia absinthium is the strongest version. Powys Castle or Silver Mound blend more easily into a landscape bed. Wormwood despises damp corners. Give it dry soil and minimal water, and its silvery, dust-colored foliage becomes one of the least inviting patches in your yard, tick-wise. 6. Garlic. This is where I'm going to do something most people would call a mistake. I'm planting garlic directly into my heaviest, richest bed, the one every guide says needs consistent moisture, because the sulfur compounds it releases, allyl disulfide and allyl trisulfide among them, are strong enough to offset a somewhat damper environment that the other 6 plants can't tolerate. Garlic is the one exception on this list that can handle a bit more moisture and still pull its weight through scent alone. Hardneck varieties do better in cold climates. Softneck stores longer in warm ones. 7. Basil. Sweet basil, particularly the Genovese variety, doesn't just discourage ticks. It pushes back mosquitoes, whiteflies, and tomato hornworms through the same volatile oils. It's the reason generations of gardeners planted basil next to tomatoes without ever needing to spray anything. That's the 7, but I promised you the plant most channels skip explaining correctly, and it's not on this list. It's what you shouldn't plant next to it. Here's the comment section ghost I can already hear forming. But I have pachysandra and I've never had a tick problem. Maybe. But black-legged ticks aren't announcing themselves. Most bites go unnoticed for days. Absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence here, and that's not me being dramatic. That's just how an ambush parasite works. 3 plants routinely sold as easy, low-maintenance ground cover are structurally 5-star tick hotels. Japanese barberry creates a dense, low canopy with almost no airflow underneath. Researchers studying black-legged tick populations have documented significantly higher tick density under barberry stands compared to native understory. Pachysandra forms a thick, shaded, moisture-retaining carpet, cool, damp, exactly what a dehydration-prone tick is looking for. Bush honeysuckle doesn't trap moisture so much as it builds a corridor. Mice, rabbits, and deer move through it constantly, dropping ticks along the way. If rosemary and lavender are the dry, sunny front line, these 3 are the reason the back corner of the yard stays a problem no matter how many oils you plant near the patio. Old advice: spray the whole yard every 2 weeks and hope. New approach: reduce moisture, increase airflow, and let the right plants do double duty as both scent barrier and habitat denial. Old advice: natural ground cover is automatically better than lawn. New approach: some ground covers are worse than turf grass for tick density, because turf grass dries out fast in full sun and thick ground cover doesn't. Quick check, because we're at the halfway point. Are you dealing mostly with ticks, or is it mosquitoes and fleas riding along too? Type ticks or ALL below. I want to see which one shows up more in the comments, because it changes which follow-up video I build next. Traditional Mediterranean farming has used rosemary, lavender, and garlic as border plants for pest management for centuries, not as folklore, but as observed, repeated outcomes long before anyone understood the chemistry behind it. Modern entomology has since confirmed the mechanism: essential oil compounds interfering with tick host-seeking behavior, and low-humidity microclimates shortening tick survival time. I've been running 4 of these 7, rosemary, lavender, wormwood, and garlic, along my own fence line for 2 growing seasons now, and the difference between that side of the yard and the shaded north side is not subtle. I'll be honest about the limitation here, because I don't want to oversell this. None of these plants are a total barrier. If your yard borders woods with a healthy deer population, you will still find ticks. What this does is shrink the zone where ticks can comfortably survive long enough to find you, which is the only thing that was ever realistically in your control anyway. There's one traditional companion planting pairing from Appalachian folk gardening that I deliberately left off this list because I haven't personally verified it holds up under testing. If you think you know what it is, drop it below. A garlic bed and a rosemary border together cost less than a single bottle of premium tick spray and outlast it for years. That's not nothing. Every square foot of dry, fragrant border you plant is one less square foot of dependence on a pest control subscription. This isn't about having a magazine-perfect yard. It's about the dog being able to lie on the porch without you checking its ears every 10 minutes, and your kids being able to run barefoot without you thinking about it every single time. That's the actual return on $30 of plants. If you're someone who'd rather understand why a method works than just follow a list blindly, that's exactly the kind of gardener this channel is built for. And here's the last thing, the part that most people miss entirely. The plants on this list aren't repelling ticks the way bug spray repels them. They're not a chemical wall. They're changing the weather, on a 4-foot scale, in a way that makes survival harder for a creature that lives or dies by moisture. That reframe matters, because it means the placement of these plants is just as important as the choice of them. Full sun, fast drainage, cleared leaf litter underneath. Get that wrong, and even rosemary won't save you. So, which camp are you in? Team Spray and Hope, or Team Change the Microclimate? Tell me in the comments, and tell me specifically what's growing along your fence line right now, because I read every single one, and the next video on this channel is going to walk through exactly which low-maintenance ground covers are secretly working against you, including the one growing in probably 1 out of every 3 American front yards right now. That one might surprise you. Subscribe if you want gardening content that explains the mechanism, not just the method. We go this deep every week.